Well everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 15 Plus and compare it against the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus and see which particular phone is a better one for you. Now, I will definitely tell you between both these devices, there may not be a particular device that I would look at as the overall best one between these two. I feel like there's lots and lots of capability between these, and I do think that in and of itself is a very, very cool thing. I will tell you though, in my opinion, with a device like the iPhone 15 Plus, this is technically a newer one, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the newest one in terms of the internal parts and everything. The Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus, kind of the same story, but I love both these phones. If you want to pick up either one of these, links will be down in the description. You can get that from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these devices, the iPhone, actually the Galaxy S23 Plus on the front, which came out earlier this year, has a 6.6-inch dynamic AMOLED display. It's a very good panel. It gets very, very bright for the most part, and it's a 120Hz panel as well. That is a very good thing going on with this particular device. It's a flat display, looks very good, gets very, very bright, and it's a very good panel. I'm a massive fan of these types of displays. The fingerprint sensor in the display, and it's a whole plus display as well. I'm very used to Samsung panels nowadays, and this is something that I love with these particular devices. So between this, I will tell you without a doubt, the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus from that side alone gets a thumbs up for me without a doubt for sure. Now on the iPhone 15 Plus, you're getting a 6.7-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. So this is a little bit of a different story because this is a, non-120Hz display. It's a 60Hz display this time around. So I will tell you, this is a little bit of a difference. I will say 120Hz on Android is still better than 60Hz on iOS, but it's not as big of a difference. Like you're still seeing some, better, performance on an S23 Plus in this case with that display. But the iPhone 15 Plus is still a decent display for what you're getting. The dynamic island is there too for what it's worth. Some people like it, some people don't. But that's also like another thing that kind of, goes on here. And this is another thing to kind of keep in mind there too. Now, on top of that, with your Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus, like I said, you're getting that, better display in some ways, but the 15 Plus's display is still very good for a lot of people. On the sides of both these phones, there's kind of like flat sides on the S23s nowadays, but they're like a little curved in the middle, like it's kind of hard to explain. The 15 Plus has a complete flat side around it, which is a really nice thing. And I will tell you from that standpoint alone, the 15 Plus kind of has a more modern feeling to it because it is completely flat. The S23 Plus, with it being like this curved, flat kind of thing, I think it looks fine. It feels fine for a lot of people. But I do think the 15 Plus kind of has a better, situation here for some people. But again, they both feel very good. USB Type-C ports on the bottom of both these, which is very, very nice. USB-C is amazing, and I love having that type of capability on both these phones. On top of that, within both, the back of them have frosted glass backs, which again is super cool. Having frosted glass backs is amazing, and you're getting a dual camera setup on the top left of the 15 Plus. The Galaxy S23 Plus, you're getting that triple camera setup. So that's another really cool thing going on between them. You have wireless charging on the back of both of them. The S23 Plus actually has reverse wireless charging though, which is very cool. The iPhone 15 Plus does not have reverse wireless charging. It just has standard charging. So that's kind of one thing to keep in mind. That's always something that kind of is always kind of keep in mind there. But regardless, I feel like both these phones on the outside feel very premium. They feel very, very good in the hand. And I've never felt like it's been, very crazy or one phone is way better than the other one. So from that standpoint, that kind of covers it up there. In terms of the camera situations, so this is a slight difference between both. With the Galaxy S23 Plus, you're basically getting a triple camera setup on the backside. So you're getting a 50 megapixel wide angle lens, 10 megapixel telephoto lens, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. With the iPhone 14 Plus, you're getting a 48 megapixel wide angle lens, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. So I will tell you from my particular standpoint that both these cameras are very good and they have their own strong suits. They both can do 4K at 60 on the front and the back. The S23 Plus though can do 8K at 30 on the back, which is a very, very nice thing to have. Now on the iPhone side, I've always felt like iPhones have very good cameras, and one thing going on with the iPhones is that if you are actually picking up some sort of iPhone device out there, you are actually going to be getting a device that is still going to be standing the test of time in so many different ways. And I've always felt like social media applications hold up very, very well when it comes down to the social media apps. So I feel like that is a very, very good thing. I feel like that's a very, very good thing. But on the flip side here, on the S23 Plus, you are getting a very, very good camera on this thing. I feel like this camera is amazing. And it's probably one of the better cameras out there. And still to this day, I feel like that's a very good asset with this particular phone. With something like the Galaxy S23 Plus, you're getting more zooming in and zooming out capability, but you're also still getting a device, like I mentioned before, that is, just has more features built in within that specific camera. And no matter what you really do, you are definitely going to feel like you have pretty much the best performing camera, or one of the best performing cameras within this particular device. And no matter which way I look at it, it's always been this way on Samsung phones pretty much for the last 10 years. So no matter what you really do, you're probably going to be getting the better overall camera on the S23 Plus over the iPhone 15 Plus in my opinion. So that kind of covers it up there. Now, another thing going on here is that with the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus, although it has a better camera, this may not mean that this will be the better performing phone in general in terms of software. I definitely do feel like that with a device like the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus, this is going to be a phone that's still going to be supported for many more years. It's not going anywhere anytime soon, but you are going to be getting a longer supported phone and a longer lasting phone from something like the iPhone 15 Plus. So this is something that we've always seen, iOS versus Android, one of the biggest things that we've seen just time and time again. And in this particular case, you are going to be getting, once again, a longer lasting phone on something like the iPhone 15 Plus than on the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus. So kind of keep that in mind. I've always felt like I've said before, the longer lasting phones are always one of my favorite things because you can just buy them today and keep them for long amounts of time. So just one of those things to keep in mind in the back of your head. If you want the longer lasting phone, the iPhone 15 Plus is probably the one that you're going to want to pick up here. Now, in terms of performance, on the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus, you are getting that Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset inside with 8GB of RAM, where the iPhone 15 Plus, you are getting that Apple A16 Bionic chip inside with 6GB of RAM inside of it. Now, this is a very interesting thing going on between both, because when you're getting one device over the other one, you are definitely going to be wanting to get a phone that is the best performing phone for that, dollar standpoint. The Galaxy S23 Plus is probably the overall better performing phone when it comes down to it, in my personal opinion. I feel like with the mixture of having it as, that Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset, all applications, every game, everything I've ever played on this phone, it's been an amazing experience, and I've always felt like that was a very, very cool thing, and a very good thing that I had with that particular phone. On the iPhone side, I feel like this is a very good performing phone too, and it is easily one of the best performing phones this year. It does have the same chipset as last year. So one of those small things to keep in mind, it has the same chipset as the phone, from the years before. But the other thing to keep in mind here is that you are also going to be getting a device that is probably going to be the better one in terms of the smoothness factor on the iPhone. But I feel like raw performance is going to be better on the S23 Plus from games and applications and everything like that. So kind of keep that in mind. I do feel like the battery life kind of goes for the iPhone 15 Plus though. I feel like that device is going to be giving you overall better performance, which is always a really, really cool thing to have. And I feel like once again, that in and of itself is a very cool thing to kind of see within that particular device as well. So to kind of sum up this whole entire video and round it out, what I will tell you is that with a device like the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus, this is a very good phone, and it probably is the better, value per dollar. I feel like if you have to pick up one and you don't care about iPhone or Android or whatever, I would just recommend buying a Galaxy S23 Plus. This is a device that's going to be supported for many, many more years. It's not going to be the longest supported phone between these, but it's still going to be a phone that's going to be here for a while, and I would 100% recommend picking it up. On the iPhone 15 Plus, I feel like this is the phone that I think I could recommend a majority of people, whether you like iPhone or Android or whatever, and have a very, very good time using it. I feel like this is a device that's going to stand the test of time for many more years to come. It's going to be supported for many more years too, and it's a phone that's going to be really good. There's not a lot to complain about within this device. But like I mentioned, you are probably overall better off buying something like an iPhone over an Android in some cases, and in this case, I look at the 15 Plus as probably being the better phone that I would recommend you to buy. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.